Well, welcome to this latest video in our Opening Heaven's Door training session. What we're doing is we're continuing in our series of what we can learn from the ministry of Jesus. When we read about him doing all those wonderful things, what can we learn from him? How can we capture his heart? And this month we're going to look at a wonderful story of Jesus healing. And the specific case is he's healing a man with a shrivelled or a paralysed hand. This is from Mark chapter 3. Another time, Jesus went into the synagogue, and a man with a shrivelled hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him closely to see if he would heal on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the shrivelled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." And then Jesus asked them, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil? To save life or to kill?" But they remained silent. And he looked round at them in anger and, deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts, said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Now, there's a number of things that come out of this passage. I'd like to just look at them in this session. And the first thing I want to just ponder is this whole question about atmosphere. Atmosphere. I love the line just as that story begins. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. So they watched him closely to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath. Now, if you were to think about, if you like, the ideal opportunity for ministry to take place, or perhaps the atmosphere surrounding what you'd think was your ideal healing service, you'd probably have some idea of what you like to see in that time or in that service. You know, for some people, you'd like plenty of time to reflect, perhaps lots of silence, so you can really just soak up that quiet and that atmosphere. Other people would like sort of extended periods of uplifting worship, where you can really focus your attention upon the God to whom we sing. For others, they like something that was very centered upon the Bible, a real exposition of a healing story or something like that. And we all have our own particular favourite atmosphere, and it probably comes down to our personality in the end. I suppose, though, what we would all not want is tension and conflict. And yet this story about Jesus healing this man with the withered hand, conflict is exactly the atmosphere that surrounds Jesus. There are people in that synagogue, and they are watching him, waiting to catch him out, watching his every move, listening to his every word, hoping to trap him in some way, that they can bring some accusation against him. And yet, despite that, hostility and that conflict, Jesus heals the man. Now, what this says to me is that we might want a setting, to be in a certain way and to have a certain atmosphere, but that doesn't seem to bother Jesus at all. Healing is not about the atmosphere. Now, I think the atmosphere might well make a difference to how we feel. It might help, our ease at what we're doing, but I don't know how much it actually affects God. And let's face it, healing is, after all, about the touch of Jesus upon a person. This is actually really good news, because whenever you come to a time of ministry, we don't often get to choose the atmosphere around us. And it may be that for us the setting isn't quite as we'd ideally like it. Maybe it seems a bit noisy, maybe there's other things going on. It just might seem not quite our ideal setting. And maybe actually, even with us, our inner atmosphere, if you like, might not seem quite right. Maybe we've had a rush to get to where we're going. Maybe there's something else distracting us or playing on our minds. We might even have had a cross word with somebody, or something else has kind of knocked us off balance. Now, of course, we want to prepare for ministry in the best way we can, and it's never a bad idea to ask forgiveness for those things that we've done wrong. But I don't think that Jesus needs these things as a condition for him to bring healing. You see, because in the end, it's not about us. It's about him. Now, of course, we have a part to play in this, but the actual touch of God that transforms people, that's all down to him. And it's his touch that matters, not the atmosphere in which we find ourselves. So that's the first thing. The second thing I think that this story raises is this whole thing about, where does healing begin? Where should we begin as we seek to minister to others? In the story, amidst all the tension and all the conflict, something very dramatic happens. We read this. Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." Now, in one way we kind of think, wow, that's really quite a hard thing. That really exposes the man. And perhaps makes everybody staring at him and make people more aware of his own, disability there. But I wonder actually if Jesus is doing this for the sake of that very man. And I wonder if Jesus, what he's doing is trying to draw people's attention away from the tensions and away from the conflict. And he says to that man, stand up, fix your eyes on me. Look at me. Don't worry about them. Just look at me. And I think so often, that is what Jesus would love to say to us. Especially us as prayer ministers, as we're praying for people. Take your eyes off everything else. Just look at me. Because we are so prone, to wondering, well, will this work? Am I good enough? Have I prepared enough for this ministry? And he simply says, look at me. Put your eyes on me. And that's why worship, I think, is such a key thing in this ministry. Now, worship, we all know, it's not about buttering God up before we make a request, hoping he'll look more favourably on our prayers. Now, of course, it's not that. Worship, I think, is us acknowledging God for who he really is, whatever else might be going on, whatever else we might be feeling. Worship is us actually coming to the Father who loves us. No matter what we've done, no matter what we've not done, no matter how prepared or unprepared we are for ministry, worship is us coming to the Father and resting on his love for us and his love for the person for whom we are about to minister. It's us acknowledging, I think, that everything that's going to happen is actually down to his grace. It's not about him rewarding us for our good behaviour, but because he is a God of love and a God of grace, that's why healing will flow through us to this person. It's all about his love, all about his grace. And that's why our own particular approach to ministry begins with worship. It begins as putting a real focus on the Father's love. And then we move into a time of trying to encourage that awareness of the presence of Jesus. Again, fixing our eyes on him. And when we do this, when we put our attention first on the Father's love, and second on the presence of Jesus, then something happens. No longer are we looking at our need. No longer are we just looking at our sense of helplessness. But our attention is focused on something totally different. It's focused on the wonder of God. The third thing that this story, I think, challenges is how we think about healing itself. Right in the middle of this story, when Jesus is seeking to bring healing to this man with all these other things going on in the room, he's being questioned about whether it's actually right to heal on the Sabbath or not. And Jesus speaks these words. He says, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil? To save life or to kill?" I think that simple phrase reveals so much about how Jesus viewed healing. Now, I think it's often tempting to see healing as kind of a bolt-on to the ministry of Jesus. It's something else he did out of his love for people, something extra to his main work, which was the work of the cross. And yet these words, I think, put healing right at the centre of his work. He lays out this incredible contrast. Are we doing good or are we doing evil? Are we saving life or are we killing life? In other words, to heal is to do good. To heal is to save life. To prevent healing, well, that's evil. It's like killing somebody. Healing is that important to the ministry of Jesus. Now, we probably don't see healing quite like that. And sometimes I think we can take the view, well, sickness is sometimes good for people. It's something we can learn from, something that builds our character, perhaps. But the statement of Jesus goes right against that. And actually, Jesus illustrates this all throughout his life. He never commended sickness to people. He never complained about people's desire to be healed. He never told them to put up with their sickness, that enduring it would be beneficial to them. Sickness was always something that he actually, if you like, attacked. It was something that he felt that the people should be set free from. It was never seen by him as a blessing for people. He said that to withdraw or hold back healing is to do evil. And therefore, sickness is not God's desire for the person for whom we are praying. He came to take it away. And what that means for me is it really, I think, challenges how we view ministry. Ministry is not about comforting people. It's not about trying to bring nice words to them or comforting words to them. It's actually bringing them, as far as we are able, this transforming touch of the power of Jesus to their lives. Because their sickness, it bothers him. It also says to me that, there are, of course, moments and probably plenty of times when we don't see healing happen as we would like it. God is not the one withholding healing from people. Because if he was, by his own words, that would make him evil. That's fascinating, isn't it? Because I think we've all been in that situation. We prayed for someone, and we may have even sensed we were faith-filled, and nothing seems to happen. And of course, it is very confusing when that happens. Why doesn't God just do it? Jesus laid down his life that the person for whom we are praying might have abundant life. How can he hold back, in a sense, what he has already given? And then we kind of think, well, if nothing's happening, there must be a blockage. Perhaps a blockage in the person for whom we're praying, or maybe even a blockage in me, the prayer minister. And of course, it's always good to be open to Jesus. We want to be open and clean before him. But it goes back to that thing, let's not make this about us. Let's not make the person feel they have to jump through all sorts of hoops before God is going to touch them. Jesus never did that to people. He never put conditions on those who came to him. So if he's not withholding healing, well, what's happening? Well, for me, what I come back to in the end is, what else is God doing in that person's life? Maybe God is doing something else. Maybe there's some other area of that person's life he wants to touch first before he brings that healing that we would so long to bring to them. And also, maybe what we are praying for is actually happening, but it just might seem very slow in our eyes. Maybe because his power is at work in something else, we're just not seeing the full transformation that God is seeking to bring to people. We're looking over there for God to do that, and maybe God is doing this. He's still working. He's still doing good. He's still saving. I think it's very easy for us, really, to find ourselves changing our views of healing based on our own experience. Now, of course, we're going to grow in this ministry, and there has to be a real integrity about the ministry that we bring to other people. But alongside that as well, we have to keep hold of his heart and his vision for healing. And above all, let's keep our eyes focused on him. It's so easy, isn't it, to let our attention stray. We look at ourselves, what state am I in today? Or perhaps more damaging, we look at the person and we begin to kind of judge, well, they need to do this, this and this before God does anything in their lives. Or maybe they don't. Maybe what we all need to be doing is simply looking more to him and more at him, because healing is all about him. Well, I hope you found that helpful. Do go to our website, healingmission.org. There are details there of how you can sign up for this course if you haven't already done so. And if you do sign up, and by the way, that's absolutely free, there's no charge to this. But if you sign up, there are added things for you. There's a worksheet, and that's just designed to ask questions to help you reflect a little more on the ministry in which you are involved. It also gives you access to some of the previous months of this teaching. So if you've missed something, you can go back and build up a more complete course to help you as you grow in the wonder of this ministry. So take care, and God bless.